Let's start.
Let's do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda Reed Enover. Welcome to another Business Skills webinar. I'm excited today to introduce Renée Hasseldine, who's joining us to talk about supercharging your sales systems. Now, I have to let you all in on a secret. I have loved working with Renée to get this webinar booked in and done because she has literally got her systems in place, and I've loved seeing the information come through to me in a format that I love, and it's just made the little systems geek in me so happy to get all the info needed today to be able to go live. So Renée, thank you for making my job incredibly easy hosting you today for a small business skills webinar.
My pleasure.
Introduce yourself to the members and the community, because I know you're around in BBB, but not everyone would know who you are. And we've grown by about 60.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to, acknowledge and thank you for having me and hosting these things, because I know that you do most of the work. So, the least I can do is make it easier. And those of you out there who host podcasts and webinars, you understand the work that goes into it. So yes, I pride myself on being, the most helpful guest possible. So I have been in business for 19 years, and I'm a corporate refugee, and yes, my life in business has been a roller coaster, and we'll get into that when we go into the webinar. But my zone of genius is taking like all the amazing brilliance out of someone's brain, which can often be kind of delivered as a knowledge vomit. We've all been on the receiving end of that at a networking event. And I take that and I turn it into sexy pictures so that you can communicate clearly and succinctly, get those sales, make more money, and have a lot more fun in your business. So that's kind of essentially what I do.
Awesome. Guys, I've seen Renée in action, and I've seen her work, and I've seen her presentations. She's also been a guest on Clive's podcast, which is about to come out. But today's a real treat for you as we start to look at supercharging your sales system. So Renée, I'm going to hand it over to you. Now, we are both in red today, and we wanted to make sure we had our red on brand and behind us.
I've got my yellow contrasting colour for the brand.
Oh, that's okay. Because
red on red with the red background gets too much.
I know, it's a bit too much, isn't it? Yeah, that's why I do the black.
Nice. All right, great. So I'm just going to share my screen.
Beautiful.
And I will get into it. Okay, great. So shout out to everyone who's watching in the webinar. Please do interact and throw out your questions in the chat as they come up, because I present this content so many times, and what keeps it fresh and exciting is the input from the audience. So please make sure that you do pop your questions in, and let's make it really relevant to the people who are in the room today. So as I said, I've been in business for 19 years, and I totally love doing this visual model stuff. So I talk about taking what is in our heads and turning it into a signature system. So what do I actually mean by a signature system? Actually, I'm curious from you, Linda. When I say signature system, what do you think?
Oh, can I say?
Yeah. Tell me.
I think it's a system that's repeatable every time. And guys, if you want to talk about our signature system, to the fact that every business that we do runs on the same platform, the same technology, the same ethos, the same methodology, and it's replicatable. And that even when I go into course creation, and you're the same, Renée, it's the same system that I use time after time. So it's my signature. It's my go-to set.
Yeah, great. And so I talk about a signature system being our unique way of getting our clients from something that's crap, the problem that they have, to the result that they want. So we're going from crap to good, essentially.
Yep.
And the signature part is the unique thing. What is the way that you do it specifically that stands out and makes you different, your unique selling proposition, as opposed to everyone else out there in your industry. So that's how I kind of define a signature system. And then I actually like to take that signature system further and turn it into a picture, because a picture tells 1,000 words, and we can take thousands of words and simplify it down to 5 words and make it really easy for people to digest. So to give some examples, coming up on the screen now are some examples of my models and models of my clients, just to kind of show you that we're simplifying things down. And each of these models, the shape is really important. The shapes have a purpose. Obviously each of these needs to be on brand. So for each client's models, they need to be on brand in terms of color and fonts, but also in terms of the shapes that we choose. right? Because if you're going to use, one of them that came up there was a little suitcase, right? Well, that's great if you're talking about travel, or you're going to use that metaphor and talking about taking something with you in a bag, right? So you want to be able to tell a story with the models that you use and the shapes that you choose as well. So we'll get into that a bit further down the track, because when I talk about creating a signature system and turning it into pictures, we actually need 4 models to create a full set. And that's one of the things I really want to get clear today, Linda, because one of the mistakes people make is they try and get everything that's in their brain and put it into one picture.
Yep.
Then we end up with a dog's breakfast. So nobody wants a dog's breakfast, because the purpose of these things is to actually make things clearer and to get more sales. And we know that our clients won't buy if they're overwhelmed and confused. So we definitely want to make sure our models are really clear and succinct and make things easier for our clients, not more difficult. So, all right.
100% agree.
100% agree. Okay, great. Now, this is where I'm going to call for interaction from the participants. So get ready on your keyboards, peeps.
And Facebook Livers, you can interact here as well, please.
Yes, so I would love to know, why do you think creating a signature system would be beneficial for you in your business? How do you think it's going to help you in your business? And while we're waiting for those to come in, Linda, how do you think having visual models in your business will actually be a benefit?
Oh, look, and as you say, a picture tells 1,000 words. Now, I'm a copywriter by trade. I love my words and I love my copy. But sometimes, especially in a time-poor market, people aren't going to read 1,000 words and they're not going to watch that video. So if they can get it visually, they're going to engage with it. And it's about giving, I say to my marketing clients, it's about giving the client the information in the format they want to see it in.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, once you've got it in a visual model as well, that doesn't mean that that's the only format you have it in, because you can then take that and turn it into a video. You can take that visual model and you're still going to add the copy to it. It doesn't necessarily stand alone. We're still going to speak to them when we do our speaking gigs and all that sort of stuff. So
guys, come on. There's people watching the live stream and there's people watching the webinar. Come on.
So I'd love to know, you've turned up to a webinar, you've invested an hour of your time. What are you hoping to get out of this session today? Tell us why you're interested in this stuff, because I want to make sure I can tailor this content for you, and make sure
it in the chat box. It's easy.
pop it in the chat box, peeps. Okay. So, look, one of the other reasons that I really love having this stuff, and especially, we're talking about supercharging our sales. For those of us in a service-based business, selling a service, especially where we are the service provider, can sometimes be a bit uncomfortable, right? It's much easier for me to sell a product like a physical lipstick. We can pick it up, we can have a look at the color, we can draw it on our hand, we can have a play around with a physical product. Selling something like that is very different to selling a service, right? When we're selling a service, often it feels like it's all locked in our head. People can't see it. It's invisible. It's intangible. They can't pick it up and shake it. Oh, that might hurt. They can't actually get a grasp of what it is that necessarily that you're delivering, because it is like, selling hot air often. And often we feel like, as the service provider, that we are actually selling ourselves, which for some people it can be very uncomfortable to feel like they're selling themselves. But when we take things out of our head and turn it into a picture, it makes things tangible, it makes it visible, and it means that we're now selling a proven step-by-step process, which is external to us. And so then it gets us as close to selling a physical product as we can possibly get, while still operating a service-based business. So that's why one of the reasons I get really, really excited about it, because I don't fancy myself as being any good at sales at all, but having pictures and models for me means that I'm so much more comfortable in just talking about the benefits of what I do.
Okay, we have a response from Sharon. Sharon's being very good and popped the response in. Thanks, Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
You rock. Gold star for you. Looking for automation to save time and a professional look for my marketing. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yes. And that raises a really great point, Sharon, because when you take everything out of your head and turn it into a system, whether you're onboarding new staff members who need to be delivering your content or delivering service to your clients, we know that they're all then going to be delivering it in the right way, because there is a set process. And yes, if you're creating new products, you're going to be creating things super, super fast. So I wrote my first book in 2.5 days, the first draft, my second book in 48 hours. and I created a new online course in 48 hours. I can create super fast content and products because I have a signature system. When everything's already extracted and put into a system, everything we do should then be based on that signature system, right? So that means we're consistently on brand, on message. There's no confusion in the marketplace about who we are and what we do. So yes, you will totally be saving time, and it means that you're going to have that be consistently on message. So thanks, Sharon. That's, yeah, great points.
Really great points.
Brilliant. I feel like I'm going to give a prize to Sharon for being interactive. I'm going to reward what I want here.
Yay!
Send Linda your postal address. You've won a copy of my book, Game Changer, which is all about this stuff. Because
Pop it in the chat.
I want to acknowledge you for
or email me.
We want more of that stuff. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah. So email me or email the business team, because if you don't want to put it in the chat, or you can pop it in the chat here and I will extract it.
You can send it as a private message in the chat too. So brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, great. So let's keep moving. And I'm going to share a bit of my story about how having signature systems has helped me, because as I said, I've been in business for 19 years, but I didn't always do things the easy way. I kind of was a bit of a slow learner in some respects, and I had a lot of self-sabotage going on throughout, well, the first 15, 16 years. So it's only the last few years that I've really managed to work smarter, not harder. And so, yeah, I'm going to share a little bit about what that kind of has looked like for me. So for me, starting out a business is where all the fun is. I am a creator and an innovator, and for me, the startup phase of business is where all the fun is. I love that. I get super, super excited. I'm like, woohoo, possibilities are endless. Yes, new stuff, shiny objects, right? I get excited.
Completely get it.
Yeah, completely, yeah. Yeah, you like it too, Linda?
I love the startup phase.
Yeah, startup that's where the fun is, right?
That's why I do what I do. I get to work in everyone else's startup phase.
Yeah, absolutely. But we know that 80% of businesses fail in the first 12 months. Yeah. So for me, when I start to make a bit of progress, the money starts coming in, I'm like, yep, all good, all fine. And being a service-based business, for the first sort of 16 years, I was pretty much doing all one-on-one or done for you type service, type services. And that was pretty easy for me to fill with word of mouth and referrals. It was never really that hard. So I'd make a bit of progress, and pretty soon I would hit a point where I was maxed out in my one-on-one business. And that's, lots of people aspire to that, but there's only so many hours in the day. And for me, because I love creativity and innovation and new stuff, when I hit this point where I'm maxed out one-on-one, I actually get bored, and I'm not allowed to swear today, so I'm toning it down, hence the pause. Because
we're being nice for YouTube for the replay, guys.
Linda told me I'm not allowed to swear, so I'm just like, I will breathe. So you won't get the full passion of how I feel about maxed out, but let's just say I don't love it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do love it, and if you do, that's great, that's fine. But I'm actually not. I'm great at creating systems and innovating, but I'm not great at running them. When things start to feel repetitive and a bit of it's like Groundhog Day for me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So essentially, what I did in the first 15 or 16 years in my business, when I'd hit this point, is I would throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'd go, bugger this, I'm done, I'm out of here, and I would just go back to startup. I would actually call all my clients, cancel the contracts, give them the notice, and go, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm changing things up. And I would just start again because I was bored. Essentially, from boredom, that's what I would do, right? And that was my self-sabotage strategy of choice. I'd get 60% of the way there to where I really wanted to be, and I would just throw it all out and go back to square one. So yeah, that was kind of what I did. And I did that several times in the first 15 or 16 years in my business. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I actually made a breakthrough myself and thought, this is not quite as sustainable as one may think. And I think mostly it came from my husband. Even though I love variety and excitement and changing things up and start up, my husband's a bit more of a certainty junkie.
Yep.
He quite likes the stability. And so it probably came from wanting to save my relationship, and also to be a better parent for my children and not be kind of constantly changing things up, and just having a bit more of a stable home life, that I thought, okay, there's got to be a more sustainable way for me to run a business that doesn't involve this kind of constant cycle of maxed out startup,
Yep.
right? It was a bit of a roller coaster ride for the people around me. I'm totally comfortable with it, but not everybody is as comfortable with it as I am. So I made the decision to transition through and look at how can I actually run my business in a more sustainable way. And actually, I was kind of like the plumber with a leaky tap, because for all my clients, I was always creating and helping them set up their businesses that was going to be more sustainable and more leveraged and more scaled. Yet I was the one that was kind of stuck in that one-on-one loop. So I made the transition from working one-on-one to one-to-many. And in doing that, I had to create my own signature system for myself, not just for my clients. Yep. And now it means that I'm working during school hours, during school terms, and making, high six figures in my business. So that's kind of that's the story of kind of where things are at for me. And I also kind of like to use this to show you as well. This is an example of an Excite model, which we'll get into a bit later. And we'll point out some things, but there will be some things that you're hopefully noticing just as you're looking at this model now that we can talk about as we get further down into the webinar.
Awesome.
All right. So what are the keys to success? So in me breaking through from that maxed out and that self-sabotage loop versus where I am today, there are 6 things that I realized were the difference. So if you want to kind of be making more money, working less, having more fun in your business, these are the 6 things that I've realized have made the difference for me. Firstly is clarity and focus. So I actually wrote, where's this book? I wrote this first book, Share Your Passion, in November 2015. And at the time I was running a 7-stage process with my clients to help them create courses and programs and create leverage products and books. So it was more about sort of product development stuff. Yeah. And in that 7-stage process, stage 4 was all about creating the visual models. And so I had a wider process, but I'd get to stage 4 with all my clients and I'd say, oh my God, this is the best bit. And I'd get super excited and look at me almost falling over. I'm so excited. I've got a standing desk.
It's good.
I've never fallen over on a webinar before. This is
that could be a first.
I imagine the bloopers reel. Love it. So yeah, I was running the 7-stage process, and stage 4 was about the models. And that was the bit where I had the most fun. It was also the bit where I added the most value, and the bit that just came so naturally and easily to me. So when I actually decided to narrow down that 7-stage process to just work on that stage 4, to just be working on the signature system and the visual models, everything changed dramatically in my business, because it's so much easier for me to be known as the expert in that one thing, which is my zone of genius, than to kind of be more broadly known and do more broad product development and, business mentoring kind of stuff, which is where I was positioned before, right? So having that clarity and focus that this is the one thing I do and I do it bloody well. Is that a swear?
Yeah, I think we'll get away with that one.
Doing it exceptionally well.
No, it's fine. It'll be fine.
That was all the difference for me, right? It's like like being jack of all trades versus master of one, right? Yep. No, if we're going to try and be, we go to a networking event and you ask someone what do they do, and then they say, oh, I do this and I also do this and I also do this and I also do this. By the end of it, you're so confused. There is no way you're ever going to work with that person because you have no idea what they do. And
you can't buy. From a confused mind will never buy.
That's right. Exactly. So if you can have that clarity and focus on this is the thing that I do and I do it really, really well, boom, it's going to make a massive difference. And
Renée, I just wanted to cover this because I went to What's On for Kids after we met at Artful.
Yep.
And someone said to me, I get told to niche down. I get told to do all of those sorts of things, but you don't seem to do that. And I said, the one key factor in each business I run is I help business owners tell their story. And that is the one thing in everything I do that we help business owners tell their story. And my other niche for clients is clients who want to go somewhere. I don't care what industry it is, but I think people get so focused in niching down with their clarity and niching down to one particular little pigeonhole box that they can't see. And you're a bit the same. You work with different business owners like myself because they're wanting to grow and they're wanting to develop and that sort of stuff. So just that clarity, it doesn't have to be, I work with women between the ages of 10 and 20, you know, or girls between the ages of 10 and 20. It can be two key factors that you want to do.
And there's like, there are different ways of niching as well, Linda. And I think, you know, the way that I love to niche is I work is in our zone of genius niche. Like as in, this is the strength. This is my strength. This is the thing that I do. The solution I provide, which goes across industry. So I'm actually not niching by industry. I'm niching by service.
Skill. Yeah, exactly.
And skill. And so I think that's a distinction there. But then, you know, a lot of my clients are business coaches, and those business coaches that then niche into an industry are the ones that do the best. You know, I've got business coaches who specifically work with dentists and specifically work with podiatrists. Then boom, because in their industry they are the go-to
expert exactly
in that industry. So, you know, you can it's an either I think.
I think it comes down to the person too.
Coach, then it's got to be an industry, and if you're going to be kind of more specific skills based, you can kind of go across industry.
And it comes down to the person, what you feel comfortable with. Your message is really, I like this. Your message is really career across your business. Niching down never felt comfortable for me either. About to start my second pet business and want to clarify my message, something around peace of mind for pet care and for knowledge. I now know who Sharon is.
Yay!
See, I only get first names up on the chat screen, so I could go and investigate, but I never do. Okay, so Sharon, can I say a little bit more about your business to help you get that clarity today? Okay, so Sharon runs a business called Pet Carers here in Bendigo, and she's known for the expertise, the dedication, and the fact that she always turns up and treats your pets as her own. And all of her staff always do all of that particular component. I've not seen a pet carer in my lifetime understand that you're looking after someone's baby. My question for you is this: what problem do you solve for your client? Oh, there we go. That's John. John's asking a question for Sharon. What problems do you solve for your clients? So Sharon basically, and hopefully I'm going to answer this, Sharon's also just built a brand new property with the ability to take care of animals on site, so a cattery and that sort of stuff. So that's her second pet care business. But everything for her is about allowing business owners to go away, not business owners, well, possibly business owners, allowing people to go away, pet owners to go away without having to worry about their pets, and, you know, sending them updates, making sure they're feeling really, really looked after, and making sure that their people, their animals are, their people, their fur people are looked after. So she's phenomenal at all of that. I see what Sharon's doing as a value add to her existing client base. And meaning, you know, because she's only got a certain number of her and carers, you can't get to everyone's house. So this gives you the opportunity to have them cared. Spot on, Linda. Being able to go away and truly relax is the message that Sharon wants to get through. There we go.
Love it. Great. All right. So yes, having that clarity and focus about what problem it is that we solve and how we do that is really, really important. And then secondly, having a signature system. Now you can totally build a one-on-one business in service provision without a signature system, easy peasy. But we all know that selling a one-to-many service or getting results for our clients in a one-to-many service is a lot harder than it is in one-on-one. You know, if we're running online courses, and I know, Linda, you develop a lot of courses using Thinkific, to have that set process, you know, making sure our clients get to the end and get the results in those courses is a lot harder than if I'm just working one-on-one with you, because then we can, like, step one, okay, Linda, let's try this. And then if it doesn't work, without Linda even knowing, I'm just going to do a little pivot and customize and just do the next thing and slightly adjust, because I can do that in a one-on-one, right?
Exactly.
It can be bespoke, customized, just go on the fly and kind of go by the seat of our pants. But if I've got like a group of 20 clients all going through the same process to get from A to Z, I'm going to need to have a set step-by-step process that I can put my hand on my heart and say, if you follow this process, you will get the result. And that's the power of a signature system. And then we want to obviously take that signature system and package it up in a way that, yes, our clients want, but also that we want to deliver. And I think that for me, this was a really big revelation and a bit of a realization that I came to I think, a little bit too late, because I was given what I thought was conflicting advice. So on one hand, I was told, Renee, just follow your passion and the money will follow.
Oh, yes. No.
Have you got that one?
I've had that one plenty of times.
Have you given that advice, Linda?
No. Because without the system, they can't track the money.
On the other hand, though, I was also told, Renee, do the market research, right? Sell what the clients what they want, and then build it later.
Yeah.
Right? So they're the two conflicting pieces of advice that I was given.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know which one it was. But it was neither and both.
At the same time.
At the same time. You've got to imagine them in so this is for my Venn diagram nerds out there. This is a Venn diagram. We've got a circle with what are all the things that our clients want, right? That's in one circle. So we've got to do the market research. And then there's another circle with what do I want to do? How do I love to work? What is my strength and skills and my zone of genius? That goes in the other circle. The only place we create the products and services is where those two things overlap. If they don't overlap, then it's pointless, because we're going to end up either creating something that no one ever buys or delivering something that actually burns us out.
Exactly.
And neither of those is a sustainable business. Yeah. I wish I had my Venn diagram in here, but anyway.
Oh, I know. I don't even have the photo to put in chat from
I could get it out. I do have them, but it's all good. I'm sure people can visualize it in there.
Well, you can pop it in the slides link, because I can pop that slide links in, and you can pop the Venn diagram in the slides.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah. Remind me to do that if I forget. Okay, great.
Note to everyone, if we miss the slide link, follow us up.
Yeah, if you want the Venn diagram, remind me. All right. Great. So moving on to number 4, we need to have team and collaboration. So as I said earlier, I work during school hours, during school terms. So in Victoria, Australia, I don't know if have you got people from around the world here, Linda? Or
Pretty
is it
much we're most Australian, but yes, we've got a few.
Yeah. So where I live in Victoria, Australia, that's 12 weeks of school holidays a year that I do not work. I'm married to a school teacher. I've got 2 primary school aged kids. So, we get 12 weeks of quality family time a year. And that's by choice. It's not because I have to take the time off to look after the kids in the school holidays. It's because I actually want to hang out with my husband and my kids during those holidays. And that, it is a conscious choice that I make in terms of balance for my business and my family. But I could not have 12 weeks off a year if I didn't have a quality team behind me. And my team knows how my business runs because they have access to my signature system and all my content. They're not relying on things being locked in my brain. That's all extracted. And we have a whole lot of systems that go on in the background. But also collaborations. What I'm doing today with Linda, and this is a form of collaboration. It's win-win. I'm bringing content to Linda's audience, and Linda's introducing me to her audience, right? It's a win-win exchange. And, that is a faster way to build your business than trying to do it all on your own. And so, that's, I spent a lot of time, especially when my kids were younger, isolated and on my own in my office, trying to do everything by myself. Crazy. That was crazy making.
That was crazy. And we've all done that, guys, too. We've all spent the time trying to do everything by ourselves, and it doesn't work. No. But for any of us who sit there and go, you shouldn't do it all by yourself, the one thing I can tell you is at some stage, everyone's tried to do it.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad I'm not, the only slow learner.
But we've all tried, we've all tried to do it, Renee. And I think that's the biggest thing in business, that we forget to tell people, and people who watch the overnight success will go, oh my God, look at Linda and Renee, their profiles are this and they do this and they go and speak and they can now work these holidays. We also learnt from our mistakes. And that's the thing I love about the stuff you present, is you are teaching business owners, these are mistakes are made, and this is how you don't have to make them.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's cool, because these, the models for me, each point in these models is a trigger for me to tell a story or to share an experience, and that's that's what I love about these models as well, is that, I've got a client, Leah was running a half-day workshop the other day, and the first 2 hours she had 0 electricity. And for those of you who are speakers out there or facilitators.
Oh my gosh, yep, done that.
Know that, the technology doesn't work. The first thing I do when I go to a venue is make sure the technology is working, right? It's just, I just want to make sure my slides are up, and then I can get a coffee and talk.
Exactly.
And, worst nightmare, especially if you're new to presenting, is the technology doesn't work. But when you've
Yes.
got your signature system extracted, all you have to do is remember 4 pictures, and you can just fly by the seat of your pants and present content easily, and know that you're just not going to be waffling and going off on various tangents.
Tangents,
You
yep.
can still actually deliver things and stick to the point and get an outcome by just, all you need is a flip chart or a whiteboard, draw them up on those 4 pictures, and boom, you're done. And you just talk through each point. And so I just love that even though I'm using the same 4 models to deliver every speaking gig, every webinar, no 2 presentations will be the same, because I'm using each thing as a trigger, and I can keep it fresh because of the people in the room asking questions and all that sort of stuff. So I love that flexibility, because, as I said, I get bored easily, right? And nobody likes Groundhog Day. So no. But also my audience will pick up if I'm like, oh my God, do I have to talk about this same thing again? Right? Am I saying the same script again? There's no script. I don't have a script behind what I'm saying. It's just very much a conversation. And it will be the same for each of you once you've got your signature system, because you're the expert and the thought leader at what you do, that you don't need to write a script for these models. You just talk about them because that's your zone of genius.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, coming back to this model. So focusing in again on, these are the key ingredients for success. So number 5 is the systems and automation. And we're so lucky. I have a core team of 6 people now in my business, and we're all remote. I don't have a head office. So, obviously we get to keep the overheads down in our business, which is great. And we can do that because of the technology that's available to us. And there's a whole bunch of technology we use in the business to make sure that we're running like a well-oiled machine. And if I am on holidays, everything still happens. We still get bums on seats for our webinars or half-day workshops or, whatever products it is that we're selling, because the team just has to do the things in Asana every day and everything works. And then finally, if you master those first 5 and don't get this last piece, you have a hobby, not a business. So talk to Linda and Clive, because they can help you with those. That is not my zone of genius.
We really do make a little power trio between all of us.
We totally do. And this is another cool thing about what I love about this model, is that I can say to you, look, these are the 6 things we need to master for a successful service-based business, but I don't deliver them all.
No, exactly.
I don't. My zone of genius is the signature system, a little side serve of the clarity and focus and the products and packaging, but really all my products are based on that signature system piece. And I just collaborate with other people who are experts in all the other bits to help my clients with the rest. I don't have to be all things to all people. And that's that clarity and focus piece is, you can understand that your clients need all the things, but you don't have to give them all the things.
Yes, exactly. I think that's a really big lesson for me to learn in my journey. And it's really funny because I get pulled now. People go, oh, I want you to coach me on your business. And I'm like, no. I like to know the reports. I like to know the numbers, but the financial and the setting up and those business decisions, that's something that Clive works really well with you with the foundations. I much rather work with you on the marketing. If you want an accountant, then go talk to this one over here. You want a lawyer, go talk to that person, because seriously, they are not my zones.
That's right.
I like to market you. I like to make sure your message gets out there and that stuff goes. And, I like to make pretty images and that sort of stuff, and make sure the brand is there. And Renée, that's the biggest thing that I would say about you is knowing that your clarity and knowing that zone of genius. But the gorgeous thing about working with Renée, guys, is she deals with my, ability of wanting everything on brand, the fonts to match, the colors to match, everything to be on brand. She works with all of that sort of stuff. And I say that to you, your brand is important. It's a visual footprint. Make sure that you make the most of it.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, the logo to me is less than 5% of the brand.
Yes.
Yep. All right, that's the tangent. We could talk about that.
That was our tangent for ages. Yeah, no, I tangented it off for a minute. We get excited.
All good. I'll keep us moving. So I mentioned earlier that there are actually 4 types of models we need to create a complete signature system. So just to clarify, you don't pick one of these. You actually need one of each. To have a complete set, everyone needs 4 models as a base. And then there are ways we can have extras, but that's advanced. Let's just not get confused. Focus on, you need 4 models to start with. Okay, so here's an acronym I prepared earlier to help you remember the 4 types of models that you need. Everyone can remember this one word, sexy. And here's Linda and I here to demonstrate.
Do our dances.
Right?
I still want a standing desk. I'm going to Office Works next. You can see it.
Yes, get a standing desk. You can totally turn every webinar into interpretive dance. It's so much fun. All right. So model number 1 is the success model. And this model shows our clients what are the key ingredients they need to master for success. So to create this model, we need to know who is our ideal client? What does success look like for our ideal client? Yep. What are the obstacles and things that get in the way of them achieving that success? And then what do they then need to overcome those obstacles or things in the way? So here's one I prepared earlier, right? This is an example of a success model. If you want to make more money, work less, have more fun in your business, if you want to be leveraged and loving it, these are the 6 things you need to master in your business, right? Boom, done. Here's another example. This one is Jenny DeLacy. So Jenny DeLacy is the visibility coach. She helps people with their video marketing, and she's working with, so one of her clients, for example, is a brand new CEO in a business, and he now needs to step up and be a visible leader. And so these are the key ingredients that he needs to master to achieve success as that visible leader in his business. Boom, done. This one here is Tyson Franklin. Tyson is a business coach for podiatrists. That's what we talked about. I mentioned this one earlier. Yep. So these are the key ingredients that his clients need to master to be successful podiatry business owners. All right. So Linda, any questions on that?
Not that I've got coming through. No, has anyone got any questions? Please feel free to ask.
Cool.
Lots of attentive minds though. There's lots of people watching.
Excellent. Good.
Excellent.
All right. So let's move on to model number 2, which is the educate model. And the educate model, this one here is probably the default. When I say, you need a signature system, this is probably what people think about, because this is your step-by-step process to get your clients from where they are to where they want to be, to get them from A to Z. They've got this problem. They've got something crap. They want something good. We're taking our clients generally from crap to good. What's the step-by-step process? So this educate model is about action and about doing, right? And so for those of you who paid attention in school, these are the verbs. We want to be doing words. All right, let's look at that. So for example, if you want to take all the knowledge in your brain and turn it into a visual model, this is the 5-step process that we need to use, right? Notice I've used verbs for each of those steps, right? We can use numbers to show that it's a step-by-step process and there's a chronological order. We can use icons to then add, in an educate model, the icons are purely aesthetic. It's just making it visually more appealing. They don't do much more than that for this model. But in the excite model, which I'll get to next, they have more of a purpose. So yeah, this is an example of step-by-step process. How do we actually create a visual model? This one here is Jenny DeLacy's again. So the visibility coach, this is her step-by-step process to help her clients to be more visible and step up as a visible leader. Now, I said step up. If you notice, the first letter of each of these is actually step up. Step, tailor, embody, produce, polish. Yeah. So we can use acronyms to help people remember. And it also, helps us as the presenter of our content as well to remember if we lose our slides, that we can just, easily have a cheat if we've got an acronym. And sometimes we'll also have alliteration where all the words are starting with the same letter. I will say though, that if you try and force acronyms and alliteration into your models, and they don't actually work, where you're kind of making up a word to start with P just because it starts with P, and you're actually putting in poop because it just starts with P, but it actually has nothing to do with what you're trying to say. Just let it go. Let it go. You're much better off using words that are clear for your clients, because remember, the purpose of these models is to make things simpler and clearer, not more confusing. So if we need to explain it too much, then we haven't got the right word. And it's better to have the right word than to have it starting with the right letter. Okay. And here's another example here of Tyson's. This is his educate model, his step-by-step process to get his clients from where they are to where they want to be. And you can see here he's used this, the language that he's used is on brand for him. He's talking about diagnosis and prescription, right? Whereas, so for his clients, that sort of language makes sense, right? But if he had clients if he was doing relationship coaching, that language would not work, right? So we need to use language that makes sense to our audience and that they will understand, right? We don't want to be using jargon and things that we need to explain, right? It's much better to use words that our clients would naturally use and that make sense to them. All right, so that's model number 2. Moving on to model number 3, which is the Excite model. And the Excite model is all about the journey, the hero's journey. So we want to use the Excite model to tell a story. My first preference here is that you as the business owner tell this as your own story. We tell it in first person. This is my story of how I went from startup to leveraged and loving it, right? If we are not our own ideal client and our story is not relevant to the audience, then we want to tell this story in third person where we're like, let me tell you about my client, Bob, right? He started out in business and then this isn't it, right? So the Excite model, we're telling the hero's journey. We kind of set the scene, we make a bit of progress. Then there's like a poop hits the fan moment. It doesn't quite sound the same without swearing.
Insert expletives there.
Awkward. There's some sort of crunch time, there's a big challenge that we hit, right? Then there's a breakthrough and then there's a result, right? That's your typical kind of simplified hero's journey storytelling, right? And we use the Excite model to do that. So for example, I told my story here using this Excite model. Now the idea is when you're telling your story using your Excite model, your clients will see this and think, they'll do a self-assessment. They'll decide where they're up to on this journey themselves. Where am I up to? Where do I want to be? And they might see this and go, oh, well, I'm at maxed out. Yeah, I'd like to be at leveraged and loving it, right? And they see a gap. And human nature, when we see a gap, we want to close the gap, right? So my ideal client's going to see this and go, oh my God, I'm at maxed out and I do not want to go back to startup. I'm ready to transition through. And actually, oh, look at that. What do you notice about the dollar signs as we go through? So here we can use icons to represent key performance indicators, KPIs. So we've got dollar signs here. We've got clocks here for time. We've got stars for, how well we're doing in our business. So yes, what do we notice about the dollar signs as we're progressing up through the stages? I'll throw this to you, Linda, since the others are...
Go for it. Hang on 2 seconds. Bear with me. What do we notice? Sorry, bear with me. I was getting your links and watching live stream chat.
No worries. What are we noticing about the dollar signs as we progress up through the stages?
They're increasing, but they're also decreasing at one point when we transition from the maxed out component. And that's absolutely what happened to me.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. And why? Why do we make less money in transition? When we're transitioning from one-on-one to one-to-many, why do we make less money?
Because we need to go through that journey. And from my point of view, it was actually stopping to say no to the client so that I could work on the transition across to, and I needed to put that time into place and dedicate that transition.
Yes.
And it's an investment. It's not making less money. It's an investment so you can open up for new money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so this is one of the things that we can do with this Excite model is if something gets worse before it gets better for your clients, point it out, explicitly name it in your Excite model, because that then empowers your clients when they're experiencing that to not feel like the system is broken or they're broken, which, I have felt like so many times in my business, like all this stuff works for everyone else. It doesn't work for me because now I'm making less money. Uh-oh, what am I doing wrong? No, actually you're in transition, Renee. Why didn't someone tell me that, right?
Yep,
so we can actually help our clients get through that transition. We can also say, look, you're going to make less money in transition. So let's find the way to help you fast track through this. Let's help you get through this quickly, not drag it out for 2 or 3 years.
Not painfully, yes.
Yeah. Let's do this fast.
Yep.
Right? Which is why you work with me, right? So you want to get through transition fast. And it's going to be the same for your clients. If something's going to get worse before it gets better, then you can point it out. You can also use your Excite model to say, look, I can't work with people in startup because you don't actually have enough runs on the board to know what your step-by-step process is, right? Until you've got some case studies, until you've seen some patterns emerging working with your clients, you've got no business creating a signature system, right? You've still got to be doing that customized, bespoke learning from your clients as you're delivering service. So there we go. That's the Excite model, right? Any questions on that?
Anyone got any questions? Nothing's coming through. I think we're just keeping them so excited with the process, Renee.
Awesome.
Because
All right,
I
I'll
think
keep going.
the key thing that everyone needs to understand is throughout this process, there is always pain journeys within this. And I have a client who came to me this morning and preparedly had said to me, and we go through this with every rebranding process we go through, and they go, oh yeah, but I've got all the copy, I just need the logo, I just need the rebranding, or I just need this, I just need that, rah, rah, rah. Or maybe my message, and then they go through, then maybe my message doesn't resonate bit too. Now scrap all of that. I woke up this morning at 3 and I've written a whole heap of content, and I'm like, yep, now we're here. But I know that most of the clients I rebrand will go through that painful process because we're rebranding for a reason. And if we don't go through that pain, we shouldn't have rebranded in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah,
It's
absolutely. Yes, great. So here's another example of an Excite model. This one is Jenny DeLacy's Excite model, helping that visible leader, through their career journey. When they start out their career, they have a bit of growth, and then there's some sort of crunch time, right? Yep. Then they step up. So this is where they start working with Jenny, and then they become that visible leader, where they are the CEO that's actually going to have a long-term career as a CEO and not be kind of booted out by the board or the shareholders because they're doing a crappy job. So that's the process there. And here, sorry for banging my microphone.
That's okay.
Is that deafened anyone?
It wasn't that loud.
Okay, good. So the shape here as well, I really like this spiral because this can also show that we can move up the spiral, but also we can start sliding back down. Right? So this is a cool shape because you can use that as you're telling the story. You can use that to slide down and then wind back up again. So the shape, as I said earlier, the shapes are really important, and we want to use shapes that are appropriate to the story that we're telling. And Jenny uses this shape really well. And this one here is Tyson's Excite model. So helping those podiatry business owners to actually go from, when they graduate as a podiatrist, he doesn't work with them when they're graduates. He's kind of, and this is the other thing as well, is that generally we can use these Excite models to filter out who we're not going to work with. He's not going to be working with people who are just brand new graduates, right? They're not ready to be working with him. Yep. So, he'll probably be stepping in when they're at that frustrated clinician time to help them either become a happy health professional, or if they want to go further and be a podiatry legend and run multiple clinics, he'll help them to be doing that as well. So, again, we want to be using this Excite model to filter out people who we don't want to work with, but also to be attracting the right people who are up to where we want them to be before we start working together.
Exactly.
Beautiful. All right. So that was the Excite model. And the fourth and final model is the Yes model. And the Yes model is all about having our clients saying yes to working with us. And we do this by sharing the benefits. So, for example, these are the benefits of working with Jenny. That brand new CEO is going to have a satisfied board. He's going to be attracting more of the ideal clients to his business. He's going to have confident shareholders and connected staff so that his business becomes an employer of choice, right? And so that's the benefits of him stepping up as a visible leader. Then the benefits of working with Tyson. You have more money, you work less, you enjoy more. Boom.
Yep.
Right? Done. So what are the benefits of actually creating a signature system? You have more clarity. So what I love, and this happens with every single client, and Linda, you're kind of touching on this before, is in the process of working with me, that the process of extracting your models and your signature system, you actually become clearer. You get more clarity as the business owner in your messaging and in what you do and what you're great at, right? And if you're clearer, then your audience is going to be clearer as well, so that you're going to be consistently on brand, on message. You're going to have an endless stream of content, right? You will never, ever, ever have to worry about what am I going to talk about in social media or on my blog or my newsletter this week, because every single model will map out into about 20 to 25 pieces of content. And if you're thinking about, one theme each week, you'll have with your 4 models, you'll have between 18 months and 2 years worth of content mapped out in an hour. So it's just epic. So if you look at this model here, for example, it's got 6 chunks, right? That maps out to 25 weeks of content. So the first week we do an overview piece of the whole thing. Then we've got 6 weeks where we do one of each of these pieces. So clarity, content, etc. They become 1 week each. Then from clarity, I can have 3 bullet points, and each of those points can become 1 week of content. So it's 3 weeks for clarity, 3 weeks for content, etc. So 3 times 6 is 18. So 18 plus the 6 plus 1 is 25. 25 pieces of content from one model. So you'll never, ever, ever be stuck with what am I going to talk about, right? Everything comes from the signature system. And therefore, that means you are consistently on message, on brand, and there's no confusion in the marketplace about what you do. And also, you're never feeling like you have to reinvent the wheel or stuck with a blank screen or a blank piece of paper thinking, what am I going to talk about?
Yep.
All right. And then that's going to translate into credibility, right? One of the stories I love to tell about this is one of my clients, Andrew Eggleton, who is a speaking mentor. A presenter mentor. He had 24 years experience on stage and screen, on screen in New Zealand. He's actually, been in TV shows with Ryan Gosling, and he was a TV host and presenter. So in New Zealand, he was a household name, right? He went, after we created his first model, he went and won a contract in New Zealand for a real estate franchise for a national contract, right? Big contract that he'd won. Lots of other presenting coaches also pitched for the same work, but he won. And when he asked for feedback and said, why did I win? They said, because of your models. So even though he was a household name and famous, that's not why they chose him. They chose him because he had models and he could prove to them that he wasn't just going to stand up and waffle and, not have any outcomes. The models actually gave that franchise organization the certainty and the confidence in him that he would deliver, and he had a proven step-by-step system and that the outcomes would be delivered and there was not just going to be waffle, right? And so Andrew Eggleton before those models and Andrew Eggleton after the models, equally worthy of winning the contract. But what changes is the perception in the client's mind. And that's what we want for you all to have for your audience, is for them to actually be able to see what is in your brain and then have that trust that you actually know what the freak you're talking about.
Yep.
I'm so good at not swearing.
Yeah, you are. You're doing really well.
And that's going to translate into more clients, winning more contracts, which means more cash. Show me the money. And I think that's reason for celebration, because when we're doing work that we love and we know we're adding massive value to our clients, that's a win-win. But I tell you what, my family also wins, because when I pick the kids up from school after doing work that I love, they get the best version of me, not the kind of leftover, scrappy, grumpy, like, I hate my work, I hate my life version, right? Absolutely. So everyone's a winner when you're doing work that you love the way that you love to work. And that's, that's a benefit of having this signature system. Yeah. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? Joy keeps saying on the Facebook Live, we're explaining it so well, and she keeps waiting for the beep.
The beep. Oh,
beep, for us to beep it out. Oh, maybe I can get, no, I would miss.
I'm so on my best behavior. I should explain to your audience, Linda, for those who don't know me very well, that I actually am running a Renée Gives a Beep campaign to raise money for the Asylum Seeker Resource Centre. So every time I swear, I have a swear jar for these events just like this, and I donate $1 for every swear. And I've raised over $700 so far in the last few months.
You have done so well with that. Now. Okay. Anyone coming out with any questions? Now, guys, for those of you who want to create your signature system with Renée, you can. Did you know that? Well, we're going for the thing. I'm about to put a link into the chat.
Brilliant. Yes. So what I'm
the wrong code, so I'm just grabbing a nice neater version of it.
Beautiful. So what we've got available is I have an online system which actually takes you through step by step. How do you extract each of those 4 models and do it the right way? And also within this package, you actually get a 2-hour session with me in Zoom where you present your models in a group. So you present them using your slides, and you get feedback from me and the group to make sure that your models are of the highest standard. Because, you should never, ever, ever, ever create your models in isolation. Even though this is my jam, this is all I do, my zone of genius. If I create models in isolation and I do not get feedback, I will make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're so far in our stuff, right? And we know this. We need to get feedback to make sure that we're getting out all the mistakes. And because there are those 4 different models, and every single time I see a new set created, every single time there'll be pieces in the wrong model, right? It's easy to mix them up, especially when it's the first time you're doing it, right? So in this package, you actually get feedback from me and the Brains Trust to make sure that your models don't have mistakes in them, that they're of the highest standard, and that they actually make sense. You'll know what lands and what doesn't, and you can make those tweaks immediately. So yes, it's an $1,100 package if you pay up front, and there's also a payment plan option available as well. So I know Linda's going to pop the link.
Popping it everywhere now.
She's popped it everywhere. Awesome. So Linda's popped the link in the chat. Yep. So if you'd like to join us, and of course it's in Thinkific. Surprise!
We're lovers of Thinkific. We do like the Thinkific platform.
Excellent.
Which is a great one. It's all really, really good in system in coming through. Hey, Renee, talking about that, I don't know if you're free on the 3rd of July, but we have our Thinkific Course Creators lunch in...
That's school holidays, my love.
It is. This one is
Stop
school
doing
holidays.
that to me.
I know. Well, I have to, it just came to time and where I needed to be.
I'll actually be at Sawmill Settlement at the bottom of Mount Buller.
Enjoy.
With my fam.
Well, I will let you know when the September and November ones come into place. So they're the last.
Let me know when they're not in the school holidays.
Not school holidays. But that's okay.
I've got boundaries, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Holiday a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do the same thing for the flexibility of being able to do what I do when I do it. So yeah, I know exactly. Like yesterday where I go, I'm taking off to Sovereign Hill. See you all later.
Brilliant.
It's all good. Okay, guys, for the other things that I do want to update everyone on for the next little while, because there is a lot happening inside BBB at the moment. And I did do a live stream for those of you inside the group this morning, but we've got everyone here. So we want to make sure that we're talking to everyone around this. Our Small Business Skills Summit officially launched yesterday. And we're looking forward to bringing through 11 speakers over 11 days. And that is where we up what we do here in Skills Webinars, and we bring you 11 presenters over 11 days so that you get to attend the workshops and get to know for these amazing people. This year we're also doing 4 live panel sessions where you get to come in and ask our people questions, because when you go to a conference you go to a panel, so you get access to those sessions, 1 each day, and you've got access then for 90 days post summit to be able to take in that information. Tickets are just $197. We are going to be limited to 100 people for the live Q&A sessions. So do make sure that you register and get your tickets in that way, so that we make sure that we can get as many of you into the Q&A sessions that you're wanting as well. That'll all come out this week. Our next skills webinar is actually coming up soon, and I'm not sure that I think the booking came in the other day, and I'm not sure I have it on the page yet. We have got a couple of skills webinars coming up in July. Actually, no, our next one is Stephen, but I'm going to come up with one in July. How's that? So there we go. We're for June. I'm going to come up with the skills webinar in July. And the reason I am coming up with the skills webinar in July is August is a little bit slower with the skills summit being in place. I want to come in and touch base with everyone on the Facebook groups changes that have gone around, and the changes around Facebook groups, and questions and answers about running Facebook groups, because the advantage you have in that situation is you've got me who's run Facebook groups for almost 6 years now. We've been running business for 5, and we'll hit 6 very early next year. So we're more into our 6th year than we are into our 5th. So, so if you want to look at how we maintain our 78% engagement rate with inside that group, how we do what we do, how we run our guidelines, and there was a massive lot of changes that just came out in Facebook in relation to groups, and they're prioritizing groups about how to run the group the right way for your business. You isn't run a group just so I can shove product down people's throats, because if that's what you want to do, not going to be the right spot for you.
It's not really going to work, is it?
It's not really going to work. Don't shove products down people's throats. The things that I would update you on, though, just on Facebook world while we are here today, guys, is please stop triggering the spam algorithm by sharing the same post in multiple groups over and over and over. The more comments I've seen on my Facebook jail YouTube video this week is obviously upper there, because Facebook, it's the jail one and it's 2 years old, and people keep going, Facebook put me in jail. Just stop sharing the same stuff over and over again. Be human on social media. Be human in your marketing. Be human in your models when you create your models. And if you're creating models with Renee, guess what? you're not going to be able to post the same thing again and again because you're going to have all this content to be able to share.
Exactly.
So check out the course, guys. It's a great investment for your business to have these visual models. And really, when it comes down to it, it's one client. You win one client, you've got your money back out of this. So, you know, have a chat and have a look at all of that.
You're definitely going to get more than that back. I've got clients who came to me with a $300,000 business and have in less than a year turned it around into $1 million business just by leveraging their models. Exactly. It is so powerful.
Yep.
So powerful.
See, and you get to work with this amazing lady, and we won't be restricted by not being able to swear.
Yeah. I'm totally off brand today.
Totally off brand. No, yes. Unfortunately, guys, for those of you, when we're explaining it, to keep our replays on social media, we have to play nicely. And we've kept this very, very PC today and very engaged. But if you get the chance, Renee, you have a couple of half-day workshops coming up as well, don't you?
I'm scaling back the half-day workshops actually, so doing a lot more webinars. Yes.
The reason I'm excited is Renee, I spoke about that in Adelaide about not killing yourself to do.
Yeah, I've done 6 national tours in the last 18 months and not sustainable. So moving into something that's a lot more sustainable for me is doing more of this online stuff.
Yep.
And just knowing that, you know, I can guarantee results. You know, I have a 100% success rate with my clients. Every single client that works with me gets their models done, whether that's online or through my Authority Accelerator. So, you know, I do not need to be hopping on planes every 5 minutes to be doing that.
Exactly. Okay, guys. So check out the course, check out the links, check out the details. And if you haven't had enough of Renee from here today, then definitely jump into the course. But you will also, if you listen to Clive's Business Conversations podcast somewhere in July, I believe Renee's episode will be coming out, but I'm not holding all his information in my head today. So have a great week, everyone. We will see you
back so much, Linda.
7th, but sometime in July for me to run a session with you as well, all about Facebook groups. In the meantime, head to the Skills Summit page, register. Stephen's session alone on making a legal map for your business is definitely going to be worth attending. So have a great week. And Renee, thank you for joining us again. It's been awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sharon. Bye.
Bye.